Hey folks, this is Mr. Albinetti here to give you some advice on writing that college application essay. This advice comes to us from Johns Hopkins University. This is an elite university in the Northeast. They receive probably tens of thousands of applications, so they have to sift through tens of thousands of essays. And what they did 4 years ago is they compiled the best essays, the top 7 essays, and they're on this document. So I'm going to walk you through these essays to show you what they do well, so that you can do what these essays do. All right. First, a few comments from Johns Hopkins. The admissions committee recommends that you answer the question being asked in the essay prompt. Like you should know about this. They recommend you write about your personal experiences. I mean, you could write about someone else, but incorporate your own thoughts and experience into that essay. Don't try to include everything. In fact, focus, focus, focus. Say everything you can about something small instead of trying to say something small about everything that you've experienced. I'll say more about this. Let me talk about it now. In fact, let me talk about it now. Let's say you were on a soccer team that won state. Okay, that's great. You could write about that season, the season you won state, but I don't recommend you do that. There's too much to say. You only have a short essay. So instead, you could write about, I don't know, the championship game. But even then, I still think there's too much. You haven't focused enough. So instead, let's say you were the goalie, and imagine that you instead focus your essay on the 27-second mark in the game or match, I think they call it in soccer. You have 27 seconds left, and that's the moment when you looked up at the scoreboard and you saw that your team was ahead, and that's when it finally clicked in like, oh, we're going to win state. All this effort we put in for all of these months, even years, has finally paid off. We're going to win state. So talk about that one moment. Focus as much as you can on a moment and build the rest of your essay around that moment. It's a way to tell a story with these essays. Tell us something about you that we haven't seen anywhere else in the application. Absolutely, you don't need to reiterate your SAT score, for instance. Be conscious of hot tissues and particularly controversial topics. Write naturally. You don't have to sound like Jane Austen or William Shakespeare when you write. Don't attempt to dazzle us with your word choice or use of a thesaurus. Be you. Your essay can be funny if that's who you are, um, or it can be emotionally evocative if that's who you are. Edit and proofread some more. All right, essays that worked for the college class of 2020. Let's look at the first essay. This is the student Jody, and she starts out by saying, having explored the myths from ancient Greece, Rome, and Egypt, my curiosity was piqued in 8th grade by a simple legend from Japanese lore. If you fold 1,000 paper cranes, the gods will grant you one wish. I took it as a challenge. See, that's a specific moment, and I think most people want to read more. After that sentence, I took it as a challenge. All right, now what did she do? Did she really fold all of those paper cranes? She spends the rest of the essay just talking about that time in 8th grade when she folded 1,000 paper cranes. Most of this essay, I recommend you read it on your own. Most of this essay, it's story. What happened to her? But she throws in little tidbit lines like this that tell us the lessons she's learning along the way. And then she has these 2 lines. I proved to myself that I can finish what I start. So what did I wish for? It turns out I didn't need the wish. I learned that I have the power to make things happen for myself. So like the lesson, what she learned about herself and what she not only learned about, but also trained herself to like develop. That those lessons take up a few lines. The rest is story though. So tell a story and make it a good story, an interesting story. From what is this, the third sentence? Third sentence onward, I want to know what happened. Essay 2. Let's just look at the first few lines. A question that every high school senior is familiar with is, what kind of college is the right fit for you? My criterion doesn't appear in the deluge of admissions pamphlets. That's because I want my school to resemble my favorite dish, the hummus tabbouleh wrap. Like, I want to know what the rest of this essay says. And Johns Hopkins University is the creamiest, tangiest, most flavorful hummus tabbouleh wrap in existence. I, this essay expresses, it conveys, it contains the student's personality. The admissions committee wants to know this student better. And then the student also expresses like a deep understanding of what's happening at the university. This isn't some generic essay. It's specific to Johns Hopkins. Now, I know for the Common App essay, you cannot be this specific, but you can for essays that are particular to a university. This person's interested in the classics department, and person knows that JHU offers 83 undergraduate courses, knows about this course taught by Professor Butler, knows about other courses taught by Professor Salenza and Roller. This person knows about Johns Hopkins, and then concludes it with another humorous comment. In this world of flavorful foods and people, the delectable allure of Johns Hopkins University entices the palate of my mind, and I hope to eat my fill. I don't see any fancy words. Okay, fine. Delectable, allure, palate. I mean, I suppose, but this student didn't look up fancy words in a thesaurus. This student wrote the way they talk. Isaac, this story is this essay is tells an interesting story. It doesn't have any of the grab you by the throat kind of fascinating lines in it, but it still tells the story about when Isaac, the student, got to read the morning announcements at school. Now you'd think that Isaac would want to spend his time telling Johns Hopkins about his science fair project or his volunteer service hours or something else that one puts on a resume. But he's already said that on the resume. Instead, tell a story about something that's just interesting and fascinating and fun or inspiring about you. Essay 4. Um, presumably engineering student wrote this. The title says it all. Growing strawberries in a high school locker. So Sina did just that and explains in these 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs how this person figured out a way to grow strawberries in a high school locker. Now, you could, let's say you're an engineering student, you could talk about principles of design and the classes that you've taken, or you could do what this student does and tell us about a problem you set out to solve and how you solved it. So instead of just telling the school, I know how to solve problems using an engineer's mind, you show the admissions committee that you've used these principles before. This is the most traditional essay of the group. It walks through the student's resume. But that said, it still reveals a deep understanding of Johns Hopkins, and it's just the person has an impressive resume. So this person can say courses like Digital Systems Fundamentals unravels important concepts in logic and design. Meanwhile, lectures in, and this student refers to a specific lecture that was hosted at Johns Hopkins about, and the topic of that lecture. The first line of this essay grabs you by the throat. You want to know what happened. Do you have body bags? The leak-proof kind. We need as much as you can spare. For the rest of the essay, the reader wants to know what happened. Was this person in the mob? What happened? Anyway, the person did some medical work, and that's the reason for the body bags. But still, we're the reader's fascinated. Tell us more. And the last essay, like, I just wish I could write like this Kaylee person. It's beautifully written. But Kaylee writes about her attempts to write, I believe it's a novel, just to write, right? So she has a goal of 40,000 words. That'd be a nice length for a shortish novel. And then she gets to 5,000. Oh, had to delete some. Down to 1,000. Back up to 8,000. Ooh, keep going up to 11,000. Oh, 15,000. That's status 0? What happened? She erased everything, it appears, and started over. And then concludes Status not counting anymore. I don't write to create the next Hermione because become the best cliche or impress mom and dad. I write to express the thoughts that are most real to me, ones I cannot confine any longer. I am real and I care about being real. That is my power, not just as a writer, but as a person. So this person doesn't say that she's authentic, she shows us she's authentic. So hopefully these essays help you write your own essay better. I'm going to include, in addition to like this video, I'm going to share with you the file that contains these essays so that you can read them on your own. Please get in touch if you have any questions, and good luck, Tigers. Have a great day.